All right. So, wow. Not the best of races coming up this week, fellas. But matter of fact, next week's going to be pretty dry too, which is why we're making this announcement for the first time this year. We are actually going to take a week off. It's going to be our Christmas break, even though it's going to be a couple of weeks or a week early. So we're taking a Christmas break on the week of the 16th. That's next week. The week after that, which is the 23rd, there are some graded stakes races at Gulfstream we'll be returning to, and then the week after that, we have Santa Anita kicks into high gear. So, but these next 2 weeks are pretty dry. John, how's it going?
It's going well. How are you?
Good.
Good.
I was really interested in what we did last week. That race we did last week, those muddy conditions at Aqueduct, unfortunately. But we did have a really good race, Chad. Which what did that race tell us about Dornoch, who made that really nice comeback? I guess looked like he was dead for a minute, and then did a great job of getting
By,
back
by,
ahead of Hoist the Gold.
by the way, the best horses in the race were the horse that ran second and third, not Dornoch. The track was a complete inside speedway conveyor belt. The myth $2.3 million horse circled and came from dead last. And then drum roll, please, ran very credible when finishing third.
Yeah,
I'm
Hoist the
sorry.
Gold.
You asked Chad that question. Chad, you can answer the question.
No, I mean, it's about as big a bias as I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah,
But
both.
credit to the connections. They were in the right spot. Luis Saya is obviously a very smart jockey. Got him to the inside rail where the inside was best. And I mean, look, with 2-year-olds going a mile and an eighth in the first place, it's not an easy thing to do. And whether there's a bias or not, I do give credit where credit's due. And Dornoch fought back. I mean, with 2-year-olds getting passed like that, when he was passed like that in the Smoke Lacken Stakes, 2 starts back in Monmouth, he really had no answer. And this time, he dug back in and he battled. I agree with you. Sierra Leone might be the better horse moving forward, but certainly take nothing away from Dornoch's performance. He was gritty and gutty, and had every right to lie down. And he battled back and got the victory. And for that, I'll take the win in the win column since I picked him on top.
Yes, you did. Chad had 3 with the 7. I had the opposite because I did go with Sierra Leone, so I was upset that I
He
got.
went, he went by a full half a length. I mean, when you have that momentum, you're not supposed to get beat. But
Yeah, that's why it was. I've never seen that happen before. Where I've got a horse that's
go
coming from
watch
the
a bunch of races from last week, and it happened more than once.
at
But
the track. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. Wow.
yeah.
That's crazy. Anyway,
And
so
then when you move forward to the cigar mile again, best horse in the race was probably Senior Buscador.
Not even a
Just
question. He came from another area code. Are you
Yeah,
kidding
just
me?
helplessly behind on a track that just wasn't playing him any favors, and Hoist the Gold was able to control and dictate, and John Velasquez with a Hall of Fame ride and got the victory. But Senior Biscuiter is definitely the better horse of the two.
yeah, that was also very. That was kind of weird to see Hoist the Gold was out there. It looked like the fractions were even a little bit fast, and it was like, all right, well, so he's obviously going to get caught, and he never got caught.
I think it's a combination of two things. One, it's the way the race was playing, and for two, look, I mean, to be quite brutally honest, I've been trying to buy Hoist the Gold for 7 months, and that was our plan with him. Was we thought he was a one-turn miler, and he was kind of all over the map. He broke his maiden, getting DQ'd up over Cyberknife 3 years ago. Never really had a break. Went to California, sprinted, came off the pace of Keeneland, but this is kind of what we thought he wanted to do. John Velasquez felt the same way after the Breeders' Cup Sprint, and took advantage of it. And he had enough bottom and enough foundation to hold on, but the track certainly carried him to make it look kind of more impressive than it was. I think Senior Buscador was the better horse on the day.
Yeah, Hoist the Gold was the horse that we pointed out had 25 lifetime starts as a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
But did come in with a 7 and a 6 in his previous 2 races. Was the figure anything close to that, John? Do you know?
Which one?
Hoist the Gold?
Oh,
I think he got an 8, or did he get a 6 3/4? Where they came out today?
Yeah, I didn't look yet, but I'll look now.
Okay. And then also Dornoch had a really nice line going. He had 20, 17, and 14. So he had to do better than 14, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So that'll be interesting to follow Dornoch. When do you think we see Dornoch again?
Chad would know. It's probably done for this year.
So Danny's Danny's gonna send him to the farm for a few weeks. I'd expect him to come back to Palmettos and do his early 3-year-old training in Florida. And it's an interesting situation because Danny had a horse in WNL who won the Remsen last year. Tried a few different things, took him the Tampa route. That didn't really work out. He's been on the trail before with a few other horses, and they haven't really gone forward from 2 to 3 tacks, even though he ended up having a good career. Would be another one that comes to mind. He's talked about sending him back to Aqueduct for the Withers, which would be February 4th, mile and an eighth. I would imagine he'll look at staying in Florida with the long stretch. If he wants a long stretch, he can go to Fairgrounds. The world is his oyster, but at the same time, and we were on this path before with Instant Coffee, just because you win a big race as a 2-year-old doesn't mean you're in the Derby. So 10 points to the winner is great. You're one of the leaders in the clubhouse right now, but you're going to need a lot more than 10 points to qualify for the Derby. So he's got to win one of these prep races, and it looks like he won't run again till February. That much is for sure. Where he resurfaces, I think there's a lot of TBD involved in that.
By the way, Hoist the Gold did run a 6, Chad. You were right.
Yeah.
And Dornock only a 13. Little surprise.
Wow.
I think drumroll please also ran a 13, right?
I think
Okay.
13 minutes.
So then you've got 20, 17, 14, 13 still headed in the right direction. And
This means that Sierra Leona, by the way, probably got the 11 or the 10 and a half.
the next grade 2, the next race we need to keep an eye on for 2-year-olds, Chad?
You got the Smarty Jones. Well, there's the Springboard Mile. I'm not sure when it is in Remington, but really the next big ones. It's the Smarty Jones on New Year's Day at Oaklawn.
Okay.
And you'll have the Mucho Macho Man in New York. In Florida, and we'll have the Jerome on January 6th at Aqueduct.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll be covering most of those obviously here on the show, and with our week off.
Drumroll, please, back in the Jerome.
Is that where drumroll please is headed?
Possibly.
Okay.
All right. Well, lots to get excited about here. When we take our break and get our breather going, we'll come back and have a lot to talk about with all these 2-year-old races, getting ready for the Triple Crown, and of course, John can't wait for our season ending and our 2024 preview and prediction show. So we'll have to.
I will not be contributing much to that show.
Yeah,
I will just be filling up my square here, and
Okay.
I'll be listening to you and
I
Chad.
feel like I would enjoy you on Hollywood Squares.
Center Square, Jon Hardoon, please.
What was the guy? Bruce, whatever.
That's the center square.
All right, so we're doing 2 races from Aqueduct, 7 and 8. We have one stakes race, I believe. The other one, though, is race 7, or at least it's a double. It's a 7-furlong race, so they're both shorter races. This is a 7-furlong race for 3-year-olds and up. The purse is $92,000, so that's okay. You got the 2 favorites, the 6 and the 7. You've got the 6 Awesome Native, and this is a very good sheet horse. Out of 8 career starts, nothing worse than a 13, and he's got 2 7s in his last 3 on dirt. And then the other favorite is Legends Can't Die, a 3-to-1 shot, but this horse looks a little slow. I'm not sure. George Weaver's obviously hot, but other than that, am I seeing something wrong here? Shouldn't Awesome Native be like 10 times better than Legends Can't Die at that price?
Yeah, Legends Can't Die isn't even the second horse in the race, or the third, or the fourth, probably. So that's what makes the race a little interesting if you want to play against them. If you had Legends Can't Die in his last 2 races, you got 2 miserable beats. He got beat a nose in each one of those races. But if you're asking my opinion, well, this is when track bias is going to come back, and hopefully you can make some money. There's a horse in this race named Trafalgar who ran just last week on December 2nd, and he ran on one of those days when you could not pass a horse. And that last time was first time Linda Rice for this horse, and now it's second time Linda Rice, and she's bringing the horse back close. That's going to be my top pick in the race.
Wow. Okay. Chad?
Look, there's 37 wins between this field. This is a group that likes to win races. And I'll be honest with you, I thought it was a very, very competitive race. Even though it's not a stake race, I thought there's a bunch of horses in here that like to win races. So when you look at Legends Can't Die, his best races have kind of come on the turf. So I think that needs to be taken into consideration. But he is certainly a gifted horse, and he's run well. It took him a while to get to the races, but you know, for me, when you talk about Trafalgar, you talk about a horse that needed some pace to close into on a track that wasn't closable, and he's going to get it here, right? With there's plenty of early zip in this race. With Legends Can't Die and Mongolia Midnight and Victorious Wave on the inside and some other in there as well. So, um, how this race breaks down, especially at the tricky 7 furlong distance, is going to be interesting. And I think it will play to a horse from off the pace. But look, there might be a big rainstorm on Saturday, so um, this track might come up sloppy. There might be a lot
But
of.
by the way, if you watch any races from Aqueduct today, again, the no passing lane sign was up. Nobody passed anybody. Every race was basically wire to wire again.
The no passing lane. What's that?
That means that the track that there's a major bias, and it's a speed bias. It's been like this since last weekend.
Okay.
And it continued today, and the track was dry. So,
all right. Well, the two horses that I was looking at were the 1 and the 2, Magnolia Midnight and Victorious Wave. Well, besides, of course, the 6. But Victorious Wave, 3 for 3 at 7 furlongs. That's good. 5 for 5 at Aqueduct with 2 wins. And in his last 4 races, as nothing worse than a 12 with an 8 and a 9. And he's got 8 straight in the money. So at 8-1, that's what I really like about the horse with everything else I was throwing in there. So at 8-1, I think that's really good value. And then the 1, Magnolia Midnight's got 4 wins in the last 5. Two of those wins at Aqueduct in 2 attempts, and is coming up at 13 and an 11 in those 2 races at Aqueduct. Again at 6-1. But yeah, I'm really intrigued by the 2 at 8-1. Chad, what do you think about those 2 horses?
I mean, the question is, are they pace compromised? They both want to show some early speed. Magnolia Midnight was a horse that I loved as a 2-year-old at the Tudor training sale for Top Line Sales. He's run well. He's made almost $240,000. He likes to win. He got voided claim. Both of them actually got voided claim over the summertime and have come back to certainly not show any ill effects of that. Magnolia Midnight's put together wins in 4 of his last 5 starts. Victorious Wave had a 3-race winning streak, broke last time. Look, Victorious Wave and John, I think you'll say that he's got a really good kind of sheet line going into this race. I'm just afraid they're gonna duel in front, and even in a track that plays to speed, sometimes there's an abundance of speed that catches up to everybody.
well, the other thing about Magnolia Midnight is not many people claim off of Linda Rice and really, get anything good out of it. This horse was claimed from Linda Rice, and he actually won 2 of his first 3 starts for his new connection. So that's a little interesting. Victorious Wave has a problem that this horse may be bouncing. However, this horse does love Aqueduct. 5 for 5 in the money at Aqueduct. So,
all right.
To make the case.
So, John, your top horse is Trafalgar, the 8 horse at 7-2, correct?
Yes, I'm going 8 over 279. 8 over 269. I'm sorry, I don't like the 7 at all. 8 over 269.
8 over 269. Chad, who do you like in the race?
Look, I like Awesome Native, like you said. I mean, obviously, I think he's going to be one of the horses in the race that picks. He's run well with a little moisture in the track before. He's got the hot riding Manny Franco, who now that winter racing has kind of really started, he's kind of the go-to jock in the room right now. So I like Awesome Native, but I'm going to give a little bit of a look here at a big price to the number 4, Mr. Bob.
Oh.
This is a horse who's an inconsistent horse, needs pace to run at. When he's ridden forward, he hasn't really had his best performances. When he comes off the pace, he's a little bit better. 2 starts back, he actually got loose in the parade and on the track before the race. I didn't think they were going to let him run. He breezed about a half mile without a rider. They got him in the gate with Luis Saez, and he came and won the race impressively. And what was a really salty other than allowance race at Keeneland. Came back at Churchill. I thought he didn't look as good, and he kind of bounced to it. That race was a really, really tough race. This race is a little bit easier than what he's been facing in Kentucky. And I think he's a horse, if you watch his replays, prefers to run outside of horses instead of inside. I think trainer Robert Falcone has kind of figured that out. He'll instruct that to Kendrick Carmouche. And there's enough speed in the race where he can kind of sit and tilt and go. So long as there's not an inside in speed. But I think Mr. Bob at a big price can pick up a share here. I'll still go with Awesome Native on top, but I'll use Mr. Bob underneath with Trafalgar, John's top pick, and Victorious Wave.
So you have 4 with who? I'm sorry.
With the 8 and the 2.
4 with 6 with 2, 4, 8.
You say, oh, you're using the 6. I thought you were using the 4.
No, 6 is going to remain my top pick, but I just like Mr. Bob at a price underneath.
No problem. See, and you had what, Greg?
6 over 1, 2.
You all have this. Okay, very good.
All right, now let's move on.
Chalk eating.
Chalk eating
weasels.
Let's now go over to race number 8. So that gives us a double option. Maybe we'll find a long shot here to connect with the 6 or the 8. All right, so you got the 6 furlong race, Garland of Roses Stakes, 120 for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds up. And the favorite, there's 4 really that are pretty tight here as far as the morning line favorite out of the 7. You got the top 2 are the 5 and the 1. Olga Isabel, a 5-2 shot with Brad Cox training. And he's 3 for 3 this year, running 10s in all 3 races. You got the 1 Disco Ebo, a 3-1 shot, who has 5 wins out of 8 at this distance and has run with 4 wins in his last 5. And really pretty impressive altogether in the money in his career. The other 2 that are in contention up front are the 6 and the 7. That's a Headland, a 7-2 shot, and Hot Fudge, the 7, a 7-2 shot that appears to be a little slow, even though he's got 3 wins in his last 4 races and also 3 wins out of 4 at Aqueduct. George Weaver, by the way, is training Headland. And again, as I mentioned before, he's off to a great start. That's a 7-year-old horse who's entering his 43rd all-time race. Who do you like in this one, John?
Well,
by the way, can we just mention quickly? Hold on, can we just mention quickly? Headland making her 43rd career start. George Weaver got the horse and decided for start 42 should try the turf for the very first time. I guess there's always a first for everything. It's a 7-year-old that had never tried the turf before.
They were probably hoping for a rain-off, but you're right, Jed.
She was 18-1 and ran accordingly.
By the way, back to you, Greg. You mentioned 5 horses and didn't mention the horse I like, so that's good for me.
That's good, yes. Well, I would mention in the favorites. I wasn't mentioning the 5 I liked.
But this race is similar to the 7th race, but this race is loaded with speed. The 1 is speed. The Hot Fudge is speed. Olga Isabel is speed. I like the 4. You look cold.
You look cold, absolutely. Yeah, look. All you got to do is take out the two bad track races recently, and
but if there's another bad track Saturday, we're in trouble.
Keep an eye on that. That's a great point. So if you got a bad track on Saturday, I think that maybe you want to avoid the 4. But if you get a decent track, the 2 last faster track races, you ran an 8 and a 9.
And everyone is a lot of speed in this race. Horses don't pass horses. I think the race sets up really well for this horse. I like this horse in this spot.
Chad.
I just don't trust her. I don't know.
Well, at least I'm getting 6-1, Chad. You don't have to trust her.
I know she's kind of inconsistent. I know she put it all together and she closed last time and she won, but I don't really like the horses that she beat in there. I mean, she was
okay. That's
why I don't know. Look,
there's 3 handicappers on this show. Everyone has their own opinion.
When you're 6-1, you know, you give it a try. But look, I also don't know what to make of Olga Isabella. She was the odds-on favorite in Mahoning Valley back on the 20th or 19th of November and scratched that day. Didn't end up going there. She ends up over here, but she's a front runner that runs slower fractions than the others. I can't see her making the lead in this race. John, would you agree with that?
She's going to have to sit. The only good thing that she really has going for her is since she moved to Cox. I mean, she's 3 for 3 since moving to the Cox barn, so that's got to count for something.
Yeah, you know, but it concerns me that, you know, she fired the bullet 46 on November 12th, and then she was in the Mahoning race and scratched, and then doesn't appear back on the work tab for 3 weeks until December 2nd. Now, again, that would look like a good work, and then ships up to New York on top of that. It's Brad Cox's world. He's got more grade 1 wins than anybody. So obviously you have to respect Olga Isabel.
The interesting thing, Chad, is she's never been on an off track. So if that pops up, who knows? But I'm just pointing it out.
Sure. Hot Fudge is one that interests me, but again, comes back the Linda Wright special. I guess she's worried that racing isn't going to exist in New York anymore. She brings this one back on a week's rest as well. So
you know, she's only like 4 or 5
for the record for most wins in New York.
Yeah, and you know she's going to do whatever it takes to win. The record for wins in New York is 156 in 1 year. I think she was like 6 away last week from breaking the all-time record. And that's like averaging a win a day. If they're running 3 or 4 days a week, I mean, how many great,
I love the fact that she's going to win more races in New York than I've had starters in America this year. That's interesting.
So how does that work?
He also has 100 horses, Chad. You have 12, 15 horses.
How does that work, Chad? When you have if she's really trying to win that record, I mean, doesn't she have some explaining to do to the owners of the horses?
Well, she owns
a lot of these horses.
Oh, does she own this one?
Look, I think the thing is, when people are going for records and to win a little shiny trophy or whatever, things go out I've seen back in the day. I don't know if you guys remember Billy Hayes, who was the car dealer in Churchill. He was going for leading owner. He's battling with Ramsey, and he bought a horse from us for $50,000 to run it for $15,000. Like 3 days later, he wanted to win the meet. And the horse ran second. By the way,
Chad, you remember what she did at Saratoga the last weekend?
Sure.
She dropped everything in half to get the training title. She ended up tying with Chad Brown, but she does it. She does whatever she has to do to win.
Yeah.
Winning is extremely important to this woman, which is not a bad thing.
No, not a bad thing at all.
I'm sure she explains it to the owners. And listen, if you want her to train for you all year round, you got to deal with her stuff. That's
that being said, I'm going to go a different route than Jonathan is thinking.
Okay.
This race, I think there's speed.
Yeah.
But there's a speed of speed. And I think Disco Ebo is that speed of speed. I like the rail draw. She's got nowhere to go but go. Frankie Pennington comes up to ride. He's Butch Reed's go-to rider.
He does a terrific job shipping in. He shipped in last weekend and won a race.
Yeah, I think Disco Ebo is the interesting one to me. Second start back off the layoff. I think you can see another progressive move forward. Plenty of time between races, running October 31st, now running back here. I think this is the race they circled that she ran in the race last year as a 3-year-old short rest. I think Disco Ebo just might be faster than them. And I think she's going to drift from that early morning line of 3-1. I think she ends up going off at 4-1, 7-2, somewhere in that range, because it's not sexy connections, even though they win wherever they go.
You're right.
Yeah, Disco Ebo running a 4 starts ago, has
5.5. That was 5.5 at Parks.
Yeah, but that could be the end of it. When you run a 4, but you never know.
It's not though, because Jonathan, the thing is, I've had this conversation with you and other people from the sheets before. The Parks numbers are always 2 points faster than the rest of the country. Yeah. It's very difficult to assign the track variant at Parks when it's a cold day. That was a race in February. It's rocky. The winds pick up. It's so inconsistent. And then you're comparing a really nice horse like Disco Ebo maybe to 5,000 claimers. So
I see it. Okay.
The number might look a lot faster than it is. It's not an easy job to do the numbers at Parks. So I get it, but that's the situation.
All right, Greg, who do you like?
Well, I actually like the combination of both of your guys, the 1 and the 4. So, and I'm going to throw into 3 as a long shot. So
3's okay. The 3 smart thinking. That horse has a shot. I was using him underneath also, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I like the 3 9s and 4, and then had a bad race. But since the bad race, the other 2, the previous 2, the 2 most recent, have both been better and both been top. Both 22 to 15 to 13. So if it keeps up with that, maybe you get another 10 or a 9 on Saturday.
Sure.
So, all right. So John, your pick.
4 over 135. You look cold. 4 with the 1 Disco Ebo, the 3 self-isolation, and the 5 Olga Isabel.
Okay, Chad.
I'm gonna go with the 1 Disco Ebo. and I'll play it underneath with the 5 Olga Isabel and the 6 Headland, getting back to what appears to be her preferred surface in start number 43.
By the way, if the track is sloppy, no selection for me in this race. If the track is sloppy, that's all.
Well, Headland looks like a good horse if the track is off.
Well, you can't give out 17 selections in a 7-horse field, can you?
No.
Okay, so who's your top pick?
Me? I'm going with the 1 over the 4-3.
Oh, 1 over 3-4 is usually the way you'd say it.
I could do that too.
Yeah.
By the way, what about Can't Hurry Love, who has 3 wins on an off track and 5? It's an 8-1 shot. David Dugan training the horse, going in the opposite direction now. 8, 12, 15 last 3 races.
What a cool filly! She's made $400,000 in her career, and anybody that wants to buy her 2-year-old brother, send me a direct message. He's for sale.
All right, there you go. So that wraps up.
Triple word score.
Oh.
All right.
Great name. Breeze this morning. He is for sale, taking all serious offers.
Really?
And we will be back for racing on the 23rd. So that will be, again, at this point in time, we've got a couple of grade 3s at Gulfstream. And
no, we will be worrying about the racing on the 26th.
Right, which is opening day at Santa Anita.
The La Brea and the Malibu.
They got nothing but stakes.
So we're not going to handicap. So for the first time ever, we're going to handicap Tuesday racing?
Yes.
All right.
Tuesday. Oh, is that what it is?
Sure.
I didn't even.
Sure, yes.
Fine.
All right, that's going to be interesting. That means what? A Sunday show?
We can do it whenever. They draw like 5 days out.
We have no work. Well, I don't even.
Well, we need the sheets and to come out though, and the odds. So
2 days before
Sunday. All right.
Yep.
So we'll be back then on the 20. Oh, that means we're going to come back the day before Christmas.
There you go. That's all right.
That's the 24th.
All I want for Christmas is this show.
Christmas Eve. We work on Thanksgiving and Christmas Eve. How about that? You gotta
All
love
right,
it.
folks. Happy Hanukkah to all our people that are celebrating out there.
Enjoy your time off.
First
Have a
night.
good one, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, Chad. I'll see you. Bye, Greg. Be well.
Take
Stay
care,
safe.
John. Thank you. All right, so I'm going to wrap it up by letting everybody know the picks. Once again, race number 7. John went with the 8, and that happens to be Trafalgar, the 7-2 Linda Rice horse. Again, the 8 Trafalgar, along with the 2, 6, and 9. The 2, 6, and 9. Chad and I were both going with the 6. Chad's going 6 over 2, 4, 8. I'm going 6 over 1, 2. And then in the 8th, John's going with the 4. You Look Cold, a 6-1 shot, William Mott trained horse. 4 over 1, 3, 5. Chad's going 1 over 5, 6, and I'm going 1 over 3, 4. So Chad and I are actually taking the same horses in these 2 races, and we'll see if that works out. So again, we're going to have a week off. Matter of fact, we're going to have, let's see, what's today? Today is the 7th. So we are going to return on the 24th. That means we have not just a week off, but we have a week and a half off. So instead of returning on the 21st, we're going to return on the 24th. And that'll be Christmas freaking Eve. And that's great. We're going to handicap races coming out on a Tuesday. Santa Anita has 3 grade 1s, the American Oaks, the La Brea, and the Malibu. And then 3 grade 2s, the Mathis Mile, the San Antonio, and the San Gabriel. So I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to definitely make sure that since we're doing we're skipping a week, and we're doing a show on the 24th, I'll make sure we're going to have 3 races. 3. All right? So I'll talk those guys into 3 races on Christmas Eve. So appreciate everybody as always, and we'll see you next time.